It is Wednesday, March 18th, March 19th. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about 5 things you can do to get more out of every round of tapping. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Wednesdays with Gene. I am the eponymous Gene Monterastelli. Every single Wednesday, we come here live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can watch the replays after the fact on YouTube as well. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about 5 things you can do to supercharge your tapping. And as a reminder, every single week, this is sponsored by the Tapping Mastery Academy, ways that you can get more out of every single round of tapping. As always, what we're going to do to start off is we're just going to do a little bit of wordless tapping to put ourselves in our body. All you're going to do is just move from tapping point to tapping point. Let your fingers do the walking and pay attention to what it feels like in your body. And if you end up being parked in one tapping spot while we're doing this, that's perfectly fine as well. Oh, nice big deep breath, big stretch. And as you do that, if anything came bubbling up, jot it down. Insights, things you need to tap on later, things you want to be present to. So today what we're going to do is I just want to share 5 simple things with you that will make it easier to get the most out of every single round of tapping. And another way that you can do that is starting this month, starting this Sunday, I'm actually doing the 30 Days to Tapping Mastery. What this is this is a program where every single day what you're going to do is you're going to get access to a short 15 to 20 minute training on how you can integrate tapping more effectively into your own life. Then at the end of that, there's reflection questions. There's a way for you to integrate that into what you are doing. There's going to be an awesome community where you can learn from everybody else. And then every single Saturday for the entire month, we're going to get on Zoom for 60 minutes. I'm going to answer all your questions about what is going on. We did this last September. It is an absolutely amazing program. It's one of the favorite things I've created in the last couple of years. If you'd like to join us, tappingqa.com/30 days to tapping mastery. So it's tappingqa.com/30 DTM, 30 days tapping mastery. There we go. We got there eventually. Awesomeness. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I just want to talk about some things that you can do to get more out of each round of tapping as you are engaging with it. I got 5 simple things. So number 1, the first thing that you can do to get more out of tapping is to tap on your resistance to tapping. It's really funny when I am introducing tapping to clients for the first time, when I'm introducing tapping in new ways, there are people who are unwilling to tap, but they're willing to tap on the fact that they don't believe tapping is going to work. And that is because they're not actually concerned about the tool of tapping for the most part, but instead, transformation and healing is scary. And the reason why it's scary is the subconscious mind loves the predictable. The subconscious mind will choose the predictably bad over the unpredictable. And because that's the case, what happens sometimes is, even though there's a conscious part of us that wants to create transformation, there's a subconscious part of us that is afraid of that particular process. And so one of the things I do at least once a week, and sometimes if I can just kind of feel it burbling inside of me, is I actually take 90 seconds and I tap on my resistance to tap. And so this is what it looks like. Tap along with me, tip top of the head, just move from point to point. I recognize the fact. Tapping is powerful. Tapping is useful. Tapping can help to create absolutely amazing change. And at the exact same time, as wonderful as that is, there is a part of me that is worried about tapping. There is a part of me that is scared of change. And this resistance just wants something predictable, just wants something consistent. And I give myself permission to know it is safe. And I am allowed. And it is actually best for me to spend a little time tapping today. Nice big deep breath. Now again, it might feel a little bit silly to tap on needing to tap, or tapping on wanting to tap, or tapping on resistance to tapping. But I can tell you firsthand, it makes such a huge difference, because consciously and subconsciously, there is a part of us that really resists change and transformation. And so it's a really easy way to do that. So number one, tap on wanting to tap more. Number two, and this is one of the biggest fruits and one of the biggest changes that has happened to me in my transformational process, and that is to slow down. And when I say slow down, I want to slow down on my expectations of what transformation is going to look like. I'm going to slow down on the number of issues that I'm going to try and tap on at once, and I'm going to slow down at how quickly I'm addressing a particular issue. You know, one of the things I joke a lot about with my students is the idea that when we sit down for transformation, the thing that we actually want is we want instantaneous, total, eternal transformation, which is a great thing for us to strive for. It's a great thing for us to want. But the reality is that there are times where that happens, but oftentimes it is not safe and it is not healthy for us to have total, instantaneous transformation. That there are actually times where it's safer for us to grow into it. And when I sit down, I just want to be to the end. And I don't mean I want to get up and move on to the next thing, but I want everything done. And we change our expectations so quickly. At the beginning, when we are introduced to tapping, we are so super excited by the fact we have this tool that works so much better than everything else that we have tried before. And then at a certain point, we start to get impatient with how slow tapping is working for us. And the thing that we are tapping on today might be slower than the thing we tapped on yesterday, but it's so much faster than any of the tools that we have in our toolbox. And so for me, it is so vitally important for me to slow down as I am engaging with and I'm working my way through navigating this amazing tool. And so when I sit down to tap, I actually have a little pre-flight checklist before when I sit down to tap on my own, before when I sit down to chat with clients. And one of the questions on that pre-flight checklist is ask one more question. And so it's useful, even for ourselves, to ask one more question. Like when it's clear, to go, okay, one last time, what do I still notice? One last time, what is still hanging around? One last time, what is the tail ender that I haven't grabbed yet? Now, there are going to be times where moving from resistance on a SUDS level of 0 to 10 of an 8 down to a 6, I can now take action. That's great. But I want to be in a circumstance where I can do it even faster and more efficiently. And so it's super important, and it's super valuable for us to be in a circumstance where we are taking our time. And again, it's in multiple ways. It's about our expectations, it's about the number of issues, and it's about the number of rounds that we're doing. If you slow down, if you invest one more round of tapping, which takes 90 seconds on every single issue. In the short term, we're taking more time. In the long term, we're going to heal things faster. We're going to heal them deeper. And so even though we're spending more time in the moment, it's going to make a huge difference in the long term. So number 2, slow down when you are tapping. Number 3. So in my tapping mastery blueprint, I teach 5 approaches to tapping. And before every single one of the approaches, there's 2 questions that we ask ourselves. And question number 1 is super, super vital when we sit down to tap and create transformation. And that question for me always is, what is the goal of this round of tapping? And that might feel like a silly question. I'm tapping to feel better. But there's lots of different versions of feel better. Am I sitting down to change a limiting belief? Am I sitting down to clear resistance so I take action? Am I sitting down to do emotional first aid to just get the overwhelm? Am I sitting down to clear space to take an action where we're trying to do something creative? Next week in the live stream, we're going to be talking about creativity. And so for me, when I sit down to tap, I ask myself the question, what is the goal of this round of tapping? And you'll notice I didn't say, what is the goal of this tapping session? Because over the course of even 5 or 6 minutes, I might have 3 or 4 goals. The first goal might be, I just want to get this frustration down because I just can't even see straight. And then after doing a couple rounds of tapping on that frustration and the emotional first aid, I then take a nice big deep breath and I'm like, okay, the frustration is down. Now there's still resistance to taking this action. So now the goal of the next round of tapping is to clear the resistance to take action. And so by asking that question, what it does is it focuses us and it makes it easier for us to know what to say because I now know what the goal is. It gives me the ability to evaluate the round of tapping. Is it useful? Because if this is the goal, after I do the round of tapping, am I closer to that particular goal? And number 3, what it does is it helps me to see the tapping is successful. And since I see the tapping is successful, I'm much more likely to do it again. I'm much more likely to do it in the future. So number 3, every single time I sit down to tap, I ask myself the question, what is the goal of this round of tapping? You saw it at the beginning of the session. We did 90 seconds of wordless tapping to put ourselves in our body so we could be fully present to teach and learn as we engage with this particular thing. And so by having a little bitty goal in mind, and again, that goal can change every single round of tapping, it's going to make it so much easier for you to get the most out of each round of tapping. Number 4, you don't have to tap on the right thing to get results. And it's interesting because in number 3, we just talked about have a goal in mind. And sometimes the goal in mind is going to be unclear. And so as a follow-up to having a goal, give yourself permission not to know what the goal is. And again, the goal can just be better. So sometimes when I sit down to tap, I might even, just one quick round of tapping go, I give myself permission to recognize the goal of this is better. And at this moment, I'm not exactly sure what that tapping looks like. But I give myself permission to trust the process and know that I can tap imperfectly and still make things better. I can tap imperfectly and still get results that I love. And so by giving ourselves permission to set the table in that particular way, we're going to get more out of tapping because we've just removed the stress and pressure of having to get it right. Because there's a part of us that just wants to do it right. More than half of the questions I get when I'm teaching in different settings is, am I doing this right? And that's not what they're saying. They're saying, well, if I try this, should I do it this way or should I do it that way or should I do it the other way? And I appreciate the desire to understand because we need to be close enough to right to be successful. But there's no such thing as a perfect round of tapping. There's no such thing as a perfect approach. There's no such thing as a perfect tapping phrase. But if we give ourselves permission, like we said earlier, to slow down in our approach, we give ourselves permission to just engage with the process, with a direction, but not having to be right, It's going to be so much more fruitful. And then idea number 5 on how you can get more out of your tapping: tap before you do something hard. So often when we are using tapping, we're doing it responsively. I'm having an emotional response. I'm doing emotional first aid. I'm in physical pain. I'm trying to not be in physical pain. I'm dealing with resistance to take action. So I want to clear the resistance so I can finally take that action. Like you have something on your to-do list that you move from day to day to day. All of those are responsive versions of tapping. One other thing I don't think we do enough with this amazing tool is we don't do tapping before we do something hard. Every single time I sit down to do a creative activity, every single time I'm about to have a hard conversation with someone, every single time I am going to have a sales conversation with a possible new client, I tap before I step into that particular thing. Because by doing that, what I'm doing is I am ensuring that I am grounded in my body in the most effective way possible, so that whatever comes up, I'm going to be able to respond to that in a more well-resourced way. And so it is awesome to use tapping as a responsive tool, but ask yourself the question. One of the ideas that I have, and it's right here on my mug to remind myself of it: first action, best action. What is the first action I can take in order to make sure what I'm doing is the best action? And so, as a little experiment, as you navigate your day today, pick 5 activities. Before you do those 5 activities, do 90 seconds of tapping to set yourself up. And again, as we go back to what we were doing before, set the goal. I am tapping right now so that I do this task in the most effective, efficient way, and any resistance that comes up, I can respond to that. And so by doing that, what it's going to do is it's going to put you into a position where you take action more effectively. You're less likely to be emotionally triggered by it. So you are not having to tap for resistance. You're not having to tap an emotional first aid, because we did the work ahead of time before we stepped into it. So those are 5 really, 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 really simple ideas that we can do. Tap on not wanting to tap. Clear that resistance. Slow down with your expectations, the number of issues, and the outcomes that you want. Ask yourself the question every single time: what is the goal of this round of tapping? Give yourself permission not to have to tap in the right way. And finally, before you do something hard, spend a few moments tapping to set it up. It will make it so much easier for you. So those are 5 really, really simple thoughts before we head on our way. Just some really quick reminders for you. Number 1, like I said, this Sunday, we're starting the 30 Days to Tapping Mastery. I would love, 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 love if you joined us in the entire community. It's going to be a super awesome month. The beautiful thing is you don't have to do everything every single day. So if you're thinking my month is busy, each day is standalone. So if you miss a day or two because you have other things going on in your life, the Saturdays are built in as integration days. So you have Saturday to catch up, and we're going to spend some time as a community on Zoom so you can ask me anything you want about the content. Number 2, make sure you check out the podcast. Episode 654 is going live this afternoon in about an hour and a half. Go to tappingpodcast.com. Check out the archive. There's 250 hours plus of free training that is waiting for you. And then every single Wednesday, we are here live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Next week, we're going to talk about tapping to enhance your creativity, how I use tapping when I do creative tasks. And even if you're not a creative person or you do creative pursuits, if you're ever trying to solve a problem, you are being creative because you need to be a creative problem solver. So you are human, therefore you're creative. You're going to absolutely love that conversation. And then 2 weeks from today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how do you personalize a round of tapping? You get a resource online. How do you make sure it speaks specifically to you? So that's what we got going on. Like I said, please, 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 please come join us for the 30 Days of Tapping Mastery. I would love to see you there. It's going to be an awesome, awesome month. For those of you who are watching this after the fact, on the screen right now, you can see a link to all the past episodes of the Wednesdays with Gene live. If you got questions, comments, support@tappingqa.com. And I look forward to talking with you and tapping with you again next week. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Bye-bye.